So I'm going to invite everyone to keep completing the surveys, please. But we are getting close to the end of the event, and it is a pleasure for me to introduce to Nancy Rodriguez-Lora. Nancy is one of our freelance social workers, therapists in Goshen, Indiana, completely bilingual, and bicultural and bilingual. Look at the first correction that she did it, because one thing is to speak Spanish, but that doesn't make you bicultural. So thank you for the clarification. She has been working with the NIHAC as well as we were mentioning about the one-on-one or the individualized sessions with the kids as part of the program that is not limited to the classes. And she's here. You wanted to add some extra, Nancy. She's going to be developing a little closing statements, a little activity, and it is really a pleasure to come with Nancy here today.
All right, well, good afternoon. I know you're all tired. I'm kind of energized because, I know it's been a long day. Maybe I'll repeat some things that have already been discussed. My name is Nancy Rodriguez-Lora. I am a New Yorican. So I was born and raised in New York City, worked in the community, Washington Heights, all these places where there's so much culture, there's so much diversity, right? And when coming into Goshen, coming into this area, when I came in, I was like, what's happening? You know, I looking for employment, looking for places, how do I serve? It was difficult in the beginning because there wasn't a lot. You know, things have grown, so, and being part of NIHHC, when I was invited by Liliana, it was really a privilege because we started with health fairs and depression screenings, and it really meant something that there was something out there to serve, you know, the diverse community that was growing in this place. So it's really been an honor, you know, for me to be part of it. So I bring that. My husband's from the Dominican Republic, and so I have three kids, and I've been married almost 35 years. Don't ask me how old I am. I've been doing this work for over 30 years, and I can say I really love it. So being a clinician, I can say for myself, I'm aware. I'm not just a clinician, I'm also a pastor in Elkhart. So I deal with brokenness all the time. All the time. It's my heart. I really believe that's what I was created for. We were all created for something, right? And so why not use our gifts? It's not just for us. I'm not giving a gift for myself. I'm giving a gift to give it away. And so I've just been aware in the years of serving, right? And dealing with people that are broken, I just understand and I've accepted that I can't help everybody. I can't meet everybody's need. And that has been a frustrating journey because I hear it. We want to meet every need. You know, we want to do so much. But I have learned that what I can do is, besides participating, is deal with one person at a time. I can be part of big organizations, big things, absolutely. But myself, I can only touch one person at a time. And being part of this program has really allowed me, not just, I do have a private practice in Goshen. Like I said, I see people at a spiritual level. You know, it's these kids on my heart. Honestly, I serve families. I serve all kinds of families. I've seen all kinds of things. I'll share a little bit, not much, because I can't share. I will never share names, but some of the stories are so difficult that I just can't repeat them because I don't think so many people can handle some of the pain, the hurt, and the trauma that we see. But I've learned to do one person at a time, you know, and if I can impact somebody, if I can impact some of these kids in this area, if I can just impact one at a time, that for me is a reward. If I can just see eyes be bright again and see smiles, see hope where there was no hope, that for me is inspiring. And I think for you and for all of us here, so I can speak for myself, but I know many feel the same way. So to be able to see these kids move forward, you've heard throughout the day. I unfortunately have not been here all day, you know, to hear it, but I know you've heard throughout the day all the different complex realities that our adolescents and teens that migrate to the United States face. There are many, you know, and you've touched upon them. You know, the struggles with identity, belonging, we've talked about that, losses, trauma, you know, experiencing disillusionment, feeling demoralized sometimes. You know, how horrible is that? You know, the issue of racism, we can't overlook that. You know, being discriminated against. You know, I have a young son. We've actually adopted him from the Dominican Republic, and he's very dark-skinned, very dark-skinned. For me, it is what it is. We're Hispanic, we're mixed in many ways. But it was hard for him to come, and when he came, it was really hard for him because he didn't speak English. He spoke Spanish, but they judged him based on, for instance, the color of his skin. So he didn't know where he fit in. He didn't know what was going on. But you know what? He's doing excellent right now. He's striving, you know, but he faced it. So to be able to help even one of my own, you know, that for me is a blessing, I can say, and it's a privilege. Many of our kids that come, you know, they come with the promise or the hope that it will be better when they get here. I'm going to tell you, no child, no adolescent or teen comes into this country with the thought it's going to be terrible. They come with the hope that it's going to be better. They come with that desire, whether it's whether it's illegally or legally. You know what? Wherever you stand, it doesn't matter. The point is they're here. They're here. And they're ours. They're here, and it's our responsibility to see them as ours. They're not just some kids that showed up. These are human beings that come. And they come, and some of them are escaping violence. Some of them are escaping, you know, abuse. They're oppressive situations, leaving, like you've heard, families, homes, you know, friends. They're leaving it all behind. And you know what? It takes a lot of courage. And I heard someone say resilience. You're 100% correct. It takes all of that for these kids to just be here. Okay, and just to arrive. And we need to understand that. I include myself. We all have to be reminded day after day of what these kids bring. They struggle with issues of trust. I heard that. Absolutely. Who can they talk to? How do they know? They don't want to talk about some of the serious things they've gone through. Some of them feel totally dehumanized because they're not seen or heard. Seen or heard. They're put in groups. Some of these kids are like those kids, or those people, or those immigrants. Yes, they're part of a group, but they're individuals, as we are. And we need to begin to see them as individuals, each with their own story. They're not to be generalized or lumped in a group. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with being part of a group, but that can't be your full identity. That can't be how you function in life. You have your own individual story. So experiencing all these things, loss and trauma, you know, they come into this land and they struggle. They struggle. It doesn't matter if they come legal or illegally. The struggles can be different, but they struggle. Our kids, even in the United States, struggle, do they not? People in our land struggle. Imagine kids leaving and having to have this added responsibility, this added stress. The struggle just becomes greater. It just does. You know, and like I said, some of them don't feel seen and they don't feel heard. They're separated from family, separated from everything they know. We've heard stories. I appreciate just hearing Gabby, hearing Nicole, you know, and Kathy? Sandra. I really do appreciate it. I sat there and I say, wow, how brave are they? That is bravery, to be able to share their story. How many of us would like to share our story? How many of us would be so brave and willing to share our stories? Well, I hear a lot of stories. So to see that, you know, and I would say, you know, there's one person that I have so many stories in my head. I have so many real life stories in my heart and in my head for 30 plus years of people going through, but these kids, I have one little girl that I can remember. Of course, we can't say anything. She was young. She's about 12 years old in this program. You know how hard, I mean, we're meeting with them only a few times because I can't do a full psychotherapy treatment on a child because this is a program is limited. It's the first time, you know, we're meeting, just trying to help them as much as we can. And this little girl's the cutest thing I've seen. And she's talking like everything's great. And let me tell you, as I just thank God so much just for be able to just discern certain things and just give her time and see her for who she is, to be able to hear her, to be able to let her know how important she is. And this little girl, as I continue to very gently and sensitively carefully ask these questions, because you don't pry into someone's business like that. And it takes a real heart, right? You need to have a compassionate heart to do that. And this little girl, all of a sudden, there's a tear coming down her face. And I knew something was wrong. She talked about her journey. She came by herself, little girl. And you know what? She started talking about this other little girl that she was protecting who was younger than her on this journey. And she talked about, going and being stuck. And she talked about the cartel. And she talked about how this little girl was abused. But I knew that wasn't the end of the story. I knew that that was not the end of this little girl's story. And I just had to listen and let her know that I was there, and that no matter what she was going to share, I was there, and she was not alone. She was being heard for the first time. This little girl shared nothing with no one and didn't want anyone to know, until she said, slowly, in that time, me just really inside praying, God, please, what is it? How can I help her? She shared she was abused too. And the tears came down. Now you tell me, how can we overlook that? We can't overlook that. These are real life stories, and I'm not trying to say, this is not a ploy, this is not manipulation, this is not, she's giving a story. This is a real little girl. This is reality. And we have so many of those. These kids, and I'm going to say, I know the theme was survive, thrive. I thought about it. You know what I realized? That these kids are already survivors. They are survivors. They came surviving. They survived. Those are survivors, right? And they come with that, and they're here. And that's all they're trying to do is survive. They're trying to connect. They're trying to adapt. They're trying to do all these things, learn English, but they're trying to survive. How do they stay above the water without drowning? Well, you know what? We're the ones with the lifesavers here. We need to teach them how to thrive. We are the ones here. Whatever capacity you serve and wherever you are, we are the ones that help them thrive. No matter how old they are, no matter where they come from, how they got here, they're barely trying to survive. And so many other stories. There's another girl, young girl, teen girl. What happened with her? You know what? How terrible it is. This is a young girl raised by two parents in her country. Her dad, as soon as she was born, this dad was paralyzed, gunshot wound, was in a wheelchair, raised by a mom and a dad in a wheelchair. And she worked, and her mom was a worker. And she tried, but you know what? A year and a half ago, her mother died. Her mother died, cancer. They were barely making it. And you know what? This little girl, teen girl, decided, she needed to do something. Bravery. How do I help besides the poverty and the violence and the fear she had? And her dad was in a wheelchair. She came to this country. 15 days after she got to this country, her father had a heart attack. 15 days after coming here, her father died, had a heart attack. This little girl had no one. Now you tell me. And then she had siblings in her country who were younger than her, and she was worried, what do I do? The desperation. I know we can't create magic. I know I'm not God, neither are you. We can't, but we have to do something. We have to do something. Another young girl, again, had her siblings' dad here. A month before she came here, she got her papers with her mom to come. Her mom dies. She comes and she's angry. She's confused. She's lost. These are the kids we get. A young boy raised in this country with his mom, being abused by a father who's abusive. Poverty. They escape and they come. What happens? It doesn't resolve. Magic doesn't happen. His mom never got help, got in a situation where things are still violent. Now this kid is helpless, angry, thinking things he shouldn't be thinking. But they don't want to talk about that. These kids don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk to people about that. They don't want to tell the parents how they feel because they feel they're going to be a burden, more of a problem. And so they don't talk about it. They don't know who to trust. But this program gives us an opportunity to come in. It gives me an opportunity to come in. It is for time. And I love the fact that they give me the opportunity. If it's half an hour, whatever I need for that moment. I am just really thankful. And that little time to do something. Help them with something. Hear the story and let them know you're not alone, and here we are. This is what we're here for. This is exactly what we're here for. And it's not about, language is a big deal. I heard it. Yes, 100%. Language is a big deal. Because some of these kids, they want to communicate. Communication is important wherever you go. Language is a big deal, but that's not the all of it. It's not learn English and you're doing well. No, because some of them are depressed and anxious and don't want to be here. Some of them don't want to be in this country because it's been horrible. And they just want it to be good. Some of them are confused. They're young. They need to know how to cope with this. And this program really does provide it. And I'm going to tell you, if Liliana knows me at all and anybody knows me at all, I am not out to say what's not truth. I will not lift something up if it doesn't deserve to be lifted up. And I'm going to say I'm really grateful for this program. I'm grateful for what this program does. Because it gives us an opportunity to meet them where they are, go to school, meet them where they are in their environment. They're not going to go see a therapist. They're not going to go get classes. They can't afford it. They don't want it. They don't even know what's out there. How beautiful it is that we can come to them. That's wonderful. I'm a clinician out in the area. I do see people, but many can't come unless I do some pro bono. Or I work with people and maybe cut, but I can't do that for everybody. But this program allows me to be there. And I love that they allow me to be there and many others. And I'm thankful for all that support this program and that are part of this process. Because that's what we have to do. We have to make them feel included. There's a saying or something I've heard that says you can invite someone into a room, but you don't necessarily invite them in the circle. How many know that? You can invite them in the room and not in the circle. You can tell somebody welcome, but keep them separate and they still feel isolated. We need programs like this to invite them in the circle, to provide what they need. Okay, I know I don't have a lot of time. I do talk. I'm a pastor. What do you want me to say? I'm good with time. I'm good with speaking. But I want to say, because I don't have that much time, I want to say that, it's important. How do we help them thrive? I've heard some things real quick. We help them thrive by providing a safe space. A space where they're respected, where they're not bullied, where they're not made fun of, where they can share their stories, even write their stories, even express their stories artistically, however it is. Give them some space so they can do that. You just have to provide that stuff. We have to be more intentional. Just remember that, if anything. Intentionality is very important. You can say a lot, but we have to be intentional. If we don't put forth effort, nothing's going to change. Intention to what? To be supportive, to highlight their strengths and help them. When they're hurting. Whoever we meet. I'm just jumping through my stuff here because it's not a sermon, it really isn't. But I do have pieces. And and we do have worry stones that have been given out. I do give those out. Now you say, what's that? It's not magic. There's nothing to do with magic. It just has to do with something that is theirs, that has a word. At least the ones I give, I don't know if those have a word, they do. That they pick out, and that word is how they identify and how they help themselves and feel encouraged. And they carry it, and it's theirs. And kids with anxiety sometimes need that, okay? And so I give that. You also have some resilience T-shirts that are gonna be given out. I was gonna do an activity, but we're not gonna do that because time doesn't permit, but I'm gonna challenge you to do this by yourselves at home. This is what I would say. I wanted to have some mirrors. I was going to have you look at your phones, but I would like you, because I'm going to say sometimes we can only connect when we really are honest with ourselves. Look at a mirror and look at yourself. What can you see in a mirror? You can see what's behind you, but if you live your life looking at what's behind you, you're never going to look at what's right before you. Right? When you look at yourself in the mirror and you look at your eyes and you look at yourself and you're honest and you're not looking at all, criticizing everything you see, and you really look beyond yourself, you're going to see all the sufferings you went through, all the hard times you went through, who was there and how hard it was, and where you are now. And we can be a lot kinder and compassionate with ourselves. And when we're kinder and compassionate with ourselves and realistic, guess what? We can be that with others. I challenge you, and I encourage us to get involved. I urge you actually to commit, and let's support this NIHHC and all that has to do with our kids. because they're our kids. Thank you.
Wow, I love her energy. Thank you, Nancy. It's great to have energy at the end of the day, isn't it? So we are grateful for your words of encouragement, and I hope that you all have enjoyed the day. My name is Jan Marable. I am the Education and Event Coordinator for MHAM, and it is my privilege to thank you all for coming today. We want to thank all of our presenters, our moderators, our speakers. We want to especially thank Lisa Kelly, Executive Director of Mental Health Awareness of Michiana, and Ms. Liliana, Executive Director of Northern Indiana Hispanic Health Coalition. I want to thank you both for your leadership. Thank you. Let's give them a hand. What a great day we've had today, some great speakers, and we hope that you'll take the information and that you will use it to make an impact in the community in which you have called to serve. We also finally would love to encourage you, if you have not participated in the survey, to complete the survey. You can use the QR code on the table, but if you prefer, we do have paper copies on the table, the registration table. But before you leave today, please complete all of your evaluations. Also, we have a demographic survey that was on your table in your program, and it is very important that you fill this out. And we have one of our table captains that is walking around collecting them. I see her in the back. You want to stand up, table captain? There you go. She's walking around collecting them. So if you can take a moment and complete this for us, we appreciate it. We hope that you have enjoyed the day. Have I forgotten anything, ladies? Thank you. Oh. All right. They have, very good. NIHHC has taken the time to create this resource directory. Please take one. If you did not have one on your table, please see us. We'll make sure that you get one. How many great resources you're receiving on today. What a great day. Thank you all for coming, and we hope you have a great day.